So I really liked Hannah's pitch about adulthood, and it seemed like it would be really relatable for a lot of people, whether they be in college or going into college, or like the older people that aren't in school. But obviously, a lot of percent of the population does go to like a classic 4-year university and has the same experience, but a lot of people also don't, whether that be like non-traditional students and stuff. But I think that this would be a really cool show and it'd be relatable to a lot of people. It reminds me of something that would probably be on like ABC Family or something like that, and be something that families watch together, and kind of not super edgy, but that's good because that means that representation is becoming more normal, where there's just like an average normal show on it. In the pitch video, I think there was a lot in the beginning talking about how all the characters meet and whatnot, which I don't think is necessarily necessary to explain the show. But I like that Hannah addressed the issues when there's only that arise when only one person is either not white or LGBTQ plus and or anything like that, and she tried to avoid that, and I think that's really good because then it's not just that character is expected to speak for the entire community. I especially like the difference in the lesbian and bisexual characters, and that it's represented that one is very open and comfortable, and one is kind of still figuring things out and may not necessarily be as comfortable yet or not at that point. But I think in this way it becomes more relatable for a lot of people, and it just kind of shows that it's a process, and you're going to have different people react to it different ways, and how they either show their sexuality or don't show it, or whether they're comfortable with it or kind of still figuring things out for themselves. That's okay, and they're just at different points in their life, and neither are wrong. I just think that it's awesome that once you should be at the point where you're comfortable with yourself, but it takes time, and that's kind of represented the process of getting there. I like that, this wouldn't necessarily be super, crazy show, and it could just be relatable to a lot of people. So next, I thought Amber's pitch about the Coming Out Club seems really, really interesting, and a lot can be done with it. I like that it's in South Carolina, which is not the norm. Like, most shows like this would kind of be in LA or New York or something, but this is really good because I think it kind of shows that happens everywhere. It's not just in those places that you would maybe expect it a little bit more. I also like the array of gender and sexual identities that were represented. I think how it would be set up would be interesting and something I would like to watch personally, and I like that all of them come together and talk about their experiences. I definitely think a lot of flashbacks and things could be used, and it could be very complex and interesting, and you could really get to know the characters well. I love movies and shows that do that because you learn more about it as you continue watching, and you kind of realize why people are the way they are. I think it's awesome that a lot of different experiences are represented, such as Steve coming out really late in life, or Janice not having friends that necessarily accept her. And I think a lot of people could relate to this, and it proves that people are always going to have different experiences and are in different times of life, which makes it just more relatable for people, and also helps people who may not be able to relate to get rid of those stereotypes and realize everything that's going on. And I think the show would be really great. It would just be really humanizing, and I think that's always a plus. I also really liked that Maddie's show was aimed more at kids, because this is where a huge change can be made, and I think that's what we kind of need to focus on. If we work with the younger generations to make sure not that they don't develop them, but that their biases aren't so strong, and that they realize that, representation is life, and it's normal, and it's not, it's just normal. That's how it is. And like I said earlier, this is the goal. The goal of this is to have representation in the media, but not have it be, like right now, if a show has really good representation, it's really applauded because that's not really seen. We just want it to be the norm that every show has that. It's not strange. Shows that have great representation wouldn't really be applauded anymore, which I think is the goal because it's just normal. I like that Maddie emphasized that this is just going to be about normal, typical life in a neighborhood. And there would be a lot of normal, everyday situations with families that always exist in the world that aren't necessarily shown, such as she talked about the family that has two immigrants as the parents and kind of people turning to the kids to translate for them when it's not necessary and just things like that. And that's not really shown in the media. Kids learn so much and pick up a lot at this age, and by introducing them to this, they'll never have to like relearn things and try to realize the problems and things when they get older, because that's just what they grow up with and that's what they're used to. That's what they were taught at a young age. It's so much harder to have people change their ways than to just get them to realize the reality at a young age. Overall, I think these shows and the movie would be really great additions to the media and have really like talked about what we've talked about in class and problems in the media. It's awesome.